Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And Chet, the Flyers season has officially ended with a crash landing. They're out of the playoffs. The Sixers finished the season with 8 straight wins, but still in a play-in game that starts right about now. The Phillies moved 2 games above 500 with 2 wins against the Rockies and are winning already 4-1 tonight, maybe a sweep in the cards tonight. Devontae Smith gets his Eagles extension. As always, there's plenty to talk about in Philly sports. But, hey, Chet, before we get to that, we got some sad news. And I'll start out with our pal Robert Moser, who is a loyal fan of and with us every week. Robert lost his wife this morning, Donna. We hate to hear that sad news. And, Robert, we wanted to let you know that we are thinking about you tonight and so on from Philly Pressbox Radio. And Chet, you had a family loss yourself over the weekend that we hate to hear about, too.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, Greg, 77 years young, but, man, he's had a great life. Married to my sister, Roseanne, for 55, 56 years. Wow. Yeah, they got married very young. And he's had cancer, I think, 4 times in the last 13 years. Managed to beat it 3 times, but this last time it got into the blood, and he wasn't able to, beat that. So he was, having a rough winter and early spring here. And there he is. My brother-in-law, Greg, passed away early last Saturday. Just a great guy, a longtime Eagles fan, and a super gentleman who would, help with anything you needed. Anybody who met this guy just loved him. So our family misses him. Of course, my sister's taking it pretty hard, but she'll get through it thanks to our family, being there for her. So, Greg, rest easy, buddy.
Yeah, Chet, it's news like this that's the reality check. All the craziness we do in our life and all the running around and all the things you do, and then you get little reality checks that it's all kind of irrelevant. It's all about being with your people and your family and friends.
Yep. But we will carry on, Bill. We got a show to do. We're going to do it, and we got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. And we have a great guest tonight who's going to be making a return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio, and legendary Philly radio voice Angelo Cataldi.
Yeah, and I'll tell everyone a couple of things up front, Bill. I asked Angelo to be on this particular show because of the fact that today is April 17th, and it's exactly the 25th anniversary of a memorable event that he had a big part in 25 years ago. So you think about that. Secondly,
I think I know what that is.
I think you might. And secondly, I'll tell everybody that the interview was taped ahead of tonight's show. And I'm even going to show everybody a little 5-second snippet of the interview right here.
Boo! You suck, Cataldi! Boo!
You got to see this.
Yeah, can't wait. And I'll share this right up front with everybody. I haven't heard it either. You say it's good. I'm excited to hear what Angelo has to say. What's this? His 3rd time, 4th time with us in just a year.
3rd time in 6 months. How about that?
Yeah,
he must like it.
And he's been great. So I'm kind of looking forward to hearing that myself. But hey, let's open up chat with some Flyers talk. The season officially came to an end last night with 2-1 loss to the Capitals. The 8-game losing streak put them in a position, Chet, that they just needed too much help, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, they stayed in the hunt till the final period of the final game, but things didn't go well with the Detroit-Montreal game at the very end of that one. And then, the Flyers gave up the lead goal in their own game. So they're going to end up, 4 points or so out of a playoff spot. And that 8-season skid, with 11 to go, you lose 8 in a row. That's a killer. So,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
it was a
Hey,
good season until about 2 weeks ago.
yeah, and I think if you look at the whole thing, I'm disappointed because I thought they played good enough to get that playoff spot until those 2 weeks. But you look at the whole picture and you say, man, they finished 6th in their division. That's not good. That not only did they not make the playoffs, but as it all turned out, Pittsburgh, Washington, and the Islanders all ended up ahead of them.
Yeah, they were all bunched together. So, 1 or 2 games would change the standings dramatically. But bottom line is, overall, they weren't good enough. The power play just was dreadful at times during the season, especially these last few weeks. What were they, 0 for their last 24 or something like that?
Yeah, dead last. Dead last in the league and 0 for their – I think it was 0 for 23 going into last night. So however many they ended up with last night.
That's not good.
No, and you're certainly not going to win many games, but like that, and and then they tried to stay out of the penalty box, but their penalty killing, which was really good for a good part of the year, in that losing streak was not very good, and and then they tried the whole goalie thing, and that didn't last long with the big the Russian, the new fella. He looked brilliant for a game, half a game, and they went right back to Urson. Urson played okay, except for 2 weeks.
Yeah, he was great the last 3 games, including last night. So I don't know. I don't know if he's the answer. I don't know if this other Russian goalie or the second Russian goalie who is also coming over,
right,
might be the answer next year. They got a lot of questions, but we do know that, barring something changing, John Tortorella will be back as coach. Some of his late season moves, I know you weren't happy about the Couturier benching. Is he the guy to move forward with, Bill?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because and the reason I say I like the job he did. I said that up till the 2 weeks when I thought he made a real tactical error there. But I just don't know that you can withstand this. You're going to change the roster over. You're going to get rid of a lot of guys here, maybe that he thinks they can be better if they unload guys. To me, that's risky in the fact that even if he does stay next year, then what happens over the next couple of years? And all of a sudden you have a new guy in and you've gotten rid of a lot of talent because you're going to have his kind of guys. And maybe that's not the kind of guys that can get you over the hump. I think it's a tricky situation for Danny Briere to be in. And maybe Tortorella is best suited to move up to the management side.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they got a lot of decisions to make about players, who's coming back, who's not coming back. They got the young draft picks who, may get here soon. Some of the other guys who are overseas. It's going to be interesting. They're going to make some moves, certainly, during the offseason. But I do like what Danny Briere and Keith Jones have done. In fact, here's to you, Jonesy. Make some more good moves.
There you go, Jonesy. Yeah, I and I think the development of the young kids is definitely a tribute to Tortorella. There's some guys that got a lot better. He challenged them; they got better. But at the end of the day, some of the veteran moves, Stahl being one, did not work out well. I don't know what the story is going to be with Atkinson at this point. Couturier is in question on what his future holds for the Flyers too, if Tortorella stays.
Yeah, I like Couturier. I think he's a good guy. And, he may have just been run down a bit late in the season because, remember, he didn't play last year. So he may have just had some tired legs. I don't know. But I think he's still a great teammate. They did promote him to captain, of course, and then benched him shortly thereafter. So I think Coots is going to stick around.
Yeah, and again, as Bill Meltzer said, he could almost name the date that he thought Couturier went downhill when he got nicked up, and then he missed a couple games, tried to come back maybe too early, and then was never himself the rest of the way, ends up getting benched, and the whole thing fell apart. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I as I look at the whole thing, they played definitely better than I certainly expected, but then I thought they played good enough to make the playoffs and couldn't pull it off. So I'm going with disappointment in the end of it.
Travis Konechny had a good year, certainly. Owen Tippett had a very good year as well. So I like these guys. And I think the future is bright. Despite missing the playoffs, nobody expected them to make the playoffs. It just hurts the way it came down over that, 8 games, 6 of them against teams that were lower than them in the standings. So it's a shame it had to end that way, but I do think the future is bright.
I do too. Oh, speaking of future bright, the Sixers, on the other hand, they finished the regular season with 8 wins once they got Joel Embiid either back or available in most of those games. They earned a play-in game tonight against the Miami Heat. Are you as excited going into the playoffs now that it's here as you were last week? You were pretty fired up, and more importantly, can Joel Embiid play every night in the playoffs, assuming they win tonight?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. I'm confident they will beat the Heat this evening and take on the Knicks starting Saturday at 6 p.m. at the Garden. Of course, there is a little thought in my mind, that Jimmy Butler is going to come up huge and give them a heartbreaking defeat tonight. But it's like a 5% chance. I think Embiid is as healthy as we've seen him in a while. It may end up at that 2 months off ended up benefiting him and the team because he is, a little more energized and healthier now than he normally would be. I certainly don't want to see them lose tonight and have to play the winner of the 9-10 game on Friday, because even if you win that one, then you got to go against the Celtics in the first round. Nobody wants that. But yes, as far as Embiid, he should be good to go pretty much every game. You don't play back-to-backs in the postseason. So I'm hoping Embiid plays every game and scores 30 a game right into May and hopefully even into June.
I think you got high hopes, pal. I think
I do.
If he plays, he'll get his 30. And the guy's unstoppable when he's on the court. He's just he needs the surrounding supporting cast to play better. Maxey will probably get his as well, but it's playoff times. You got to have contributions from maybe 7 or 8 guys, and that's where I don't know that they can pull that off.
Yeah, well, Kelly Oubre has been very good down the stretch, so I think he's a good third option right now. You never know what you're going to get from Tobias Harris anymore. Some nights he's invisible, other nights he'll hit a couple of threes for you. But I think the big difference from last year. Remember, they did go to the second round last year and took the Celtics to 7 games. But we had Glenn Doc Rivers as the coach back then. Now we got Nick Nurse. I think that's a big step up. When you watch this team now, you could see the ball movement is just so much better than it was last year. The defensive switches and everything, I think, are better. So I think having Nick Nurse there is just a huge advantage. And you got Kyle Lowry, too. You got leadership from Kyle Lowry, who's actually been better than I thought he would. I mean, he's not going to score, 15, 20 points a game for you anymore, but he's a team leader. When he's out there, he knows what he's doing on the court. So, yeah, I think they're going to win tonight, and I think it's going to be a real good series with the Knicks, but I think the Sixers will prevail.
What's your take as it played out with Buddy Hield? He started out quick and has faded. His minutes have faded. His points have faded. Can he be a factor, or did this end up being a bad trade deadline move?
That's a huge question because, as you said, he started off great and then he pretty much disappeared and couldn't hit a shot. But then he did have some real good games, like 2 out of the last 3 games of the season. He was a big factor, hit some key threes. So he's a big question mark for me right now. If they can get Buddy Hield, to give them some good minutes and hit some big threes, that would be huge. So that's going to be something to watch, certainly. And as soon as we're out of here tonight, Bill, I'm going to race to a TV and watch the Sixers beat the Heat.
See you repping your shirt, so I know you're on board. You going to sing for us? You're not going to sing for us.
Can I? No, I'm not.
Never mind. that was enough. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
All right. Hey, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, what wouldn't be good, Chet, is if the Flyers season ended last night and the Sixers season ends tonight. That would be not good for us Philly sports fans.
So no matter what happens, they will have another game. But like I said, if they have to play against the 9-10 winner, it ain't gonna matter because then you got the Celtics. So you got to win tonight. This is not only a huge game for the Sixers as far as getting into the postseason. This is a big legacy game for Joel Embiid, I think, because we've had so many past failures in the playoffs. If you're going to lose a play-in game against a team that's given you trouble over the years, but you have them at home, you have a reasonably healthy Embiid, that would be just awful. So please, guys, don't let me down.
Yeah, I'm with you. And next week hopefully we won't. we'll wait a few weeks, but soon we'll discuss whether this season has been a success or not with the Embiid injury and how it all plays out.
I hope we got to wait
the
about
Nick
a
Nurse
month.
job.
Yeah, let's wait at least a month before we even have to think about that.
Well, I hope you're right. We'll see. Hey, let's move on. Let's give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. Chet, the gang, as always, has all the bases covered. You can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com, as well as Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. You can find our show, Philly Pressbox Radio, on our YouTube channel as well. Help us out. Hit those subscribe, follow, and like buttons. And as always, share with your family and friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the Edge of Philly Sports weekly newsletter. Sign up for free. You'll receive the EOP weekly review in your email every Friday morning. Hey, Chet, tell us what
the draft next week. There'll be lots of draft coverage from EOP. So every night and, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you'll get everything you need to know about the NFL draft, courtesy the EOP guys. As it happens.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, Chet, I'll give you a hint. I'm not going to ask you for a name a little later when we talk Eagles and Devontae Smith. I'm going to ask you for a position, Mr. General Manager, who you're going to take in the first round. Okay. But first, tell us what's going on over at the Irish Rover Station House this week.
Well, you know this. The Irish Rover has Quizzo and prime rib dinners every Wednesday evening. They have terrific Thursday through Sunday dinner specials. Lots of new additions to the menu recently also. They have live music on Saturday. And, of course, always 24 beers on tap. Great bunch of bartenders and servers at the Rover. And, hey, start thinking about these events coming up in early May. Yes, it's an Irish bar, but the Rover will celebrate Cinco de Mayo all weekend, May 2nd through the 5th, with all sorts of food and drink specials. And then May 12th happens to be Mother's Day, and that's always a big day at the Irish Rover. So make your reservations now for Mother's Day. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Check the website, irishroverstationhouse.com. Again, the Irish Rover, has lots going on. And Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill, also has a whole lot of things going on. In fact, we have a 10th anniversary coming up, and a lot of people are aware of it.
10 years? They let you guys stay on for 10 years? All kidding aside, guys, the Philly Pressbox is my favorite pod. Bill and Chet, you guys do an amazing job. It's the only podcast that I'll be a guest on. I love it. Thank you so much for having me on. I can't wait to be on many more times over the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 30 years. Philly Pressbox is the best. Congrats, guys.
Hey there, it's Scott Fransky of the Phillies. Bill, Chet, just want to say congratulations on 10 great years with Philly Pressbox Radio. Keep up the great work.
There you go. Appreciate you guys. And, hey, we couldn't do it without them being part of what we do, and everybody's always been so gracious to come on and work with us. That's been fun.
Yeah, we have some great guests, and we're going to, continue to have great guests as we wrap up our 10th year and move on to our second decade. Bill, how about that?
How about, man? It sounds long, doesn't it? We were just batting this around not too long ago. It seems like.
Yeah, time flies.
Yes, it does. Hey, Chet, the Eagles. They seem to have some kind of news every week. This week, it was the extension given to wide receiver Devontae Smith. This makes me really happy.
Yeah, Devontae's, had a good first, 3 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they gave him the extension, and he's going to be around for a while, getting some good money. So they got two highly paid wide receivers now, and, hopefully there's enough footballs to go around for both of them. Jalen Hurts spoke today, didn't say a whole lot, just like Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni yesterday. They did a half-hour news conference and said almost nothing worthwhile. So yeah, I just want to see something more out of Jalen Hurts, a little more excitement when you talk to him. I know he's a good quarterback. I know he's young and still has a bright future, but they asked him about the culture. They asked him some other things, and he just gives that kind of, dry answer, and they sound kind of like cliches. I don't know. If he goes out and plays well on Sundays, I'm okay, I guess, with that. But getting back to your original point, Devontae Smith, yes, I'm glad they locked him up.
Yeah, so the offense is looking really, really good. Of course, they've lost Jason Kelce. They gained Saquon Barkley. it looks like a pretty good setup on the offensive side. So, who are you drafting? I think maybe we just answered that question.
Well, now that's the one thing. Howie did kind of get asked about the draft, of course, a lot yesterday. He's not going to give away anything, but he made people think at least that he's going to go offensive line just by the little hints he threw. But is he just saying that to throw people off? So who knows? But I still think they are going to go with either offensive line or defensive line because they love to build through the trenches. They're not going to take a linebacker, even if it's Jeremiah Trotter's kid, maybe in the second round, but not in the first round. We would love to see them take a cornerback because the guys they have are getting old. The secondary needs a lot of help, but I don't think Howie's going to do that in the first round because from what the experts say, it's a pretty deep defensive secondary draft, and you can find a good one in the second or third round. So I think it's going to be the same old that we've seen so many times over the years, either O-line or D-line. What do you say?
I think we're not going to go D-line at this point. They've got a lot of investments over the last couple of years in that D-line. I think they're going to ride that out. They made some linebacker investments here in the offseason. Unless they can really get a guy at the number one in the first round, I don't know you're going O-line. Last year they took a guard with the second pick, right? The kid from Alabama who didn't really seem to pan out much as a rookie. Yeah. I'm thinking they're going impact player in the defensive backfield if there's one available.
Yeah, we're going to get more insight into what they might do next week because we're going to have a guy who knows a lot about the college draft and all of that. So we'll tell you more about that later. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be a linebacker. I would like to see maybe a good cornerback, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think O-line or D-line, but yeah, I'm more probably inclined to go with an offensive lineman, even if he's not going to play right now. I mean, let's face it, Lane Johnson ain't going to be around forever. So I think they're going to have to groom somebody to take over for Lane in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think, I don't know how long the window stays open. You know what I mean? Drafting for the future is one thing. It's time to win. Lane Johnson goes away. Now you have another hole. You got to keep building, but you got to win this thing while you have all these pieces. All of a sudden, A.J. Brown gets old. He loses a step, just like Kelsey and Cox, it's a normal attrition through retirement. They can't play around long. It's time to plug holes with players that can be impact players and think about winning now.
Yeah, and you would hate to see them take somebody in the first round who's not going to play right away.
Exactly.
Unless that's a quarterback, which they're certainly not going to do. If you're drafting, at number 22, or if he moves up a little bit, you want a guy who's going to get right in there and play, like Jalen Carter did. Now, Carter had a good year, but he kind of trailed off at the end. We're still waiting for Jordan Davis to, have a huge full year. He's shown flashes, but they need more from him. So a lot of question marks, and Nolan Smith is one of the biggest question marks going into next season, because if he proves to be a bust, that's not good. We were all so excited when, he fell to them last year, but what did he have? 1 sack? So they need to get more playing time out of him and more sacks and pressures.
I'm going to stick to my guns on this until I'm proved wrong. I'm going to say all these Georgia guys that people seem to have a question about, I'm holding on until we get another defensive coordinator in here and a better situation, and let's see how they play. Mm-hmm. I just think that whatever happened in the second half of last year on the defensive side of the ball was a train wreck. Those guys didn't come out of Georgia as national champions, back-to-back national champions, and not be able to play. They didn't just turn bad. So I'm sticking with those guys a little longer. Let's see under a new coordinator how they play, and I think they're going to surprise. I think, or they're going to play how we thought they were going to play.
Yeah. In addition to some of the players that we mentioned, 2 of the key guys going into next year are the 2 coordinators, Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore, because it's somewhat new systems. Fangio isn't going to make a whole lot of changes with the system they've been using, because they've been kind of using his, even though he wasn't there. So Fangio's got to get the guys in there that he wants to be playing. And on the other side, Kellen Moore has all these weapons. He just got to make sure they're being used properly and that everybody's getting, their share of the ball, because you got Barkley, you got the 2 wide receivers, you got Dallas Goedert at tight end. So a lot of guys who can help you. You just have to make sure they're all getting their fair share.
That's right. And spread the ball around. But I think having Barkley is going to be a huge factor. He's a 3-down back that can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Get him in space and crazy things could happen.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, Chet, we've had Flyers talk, Sixers talk, Eagles talk. But before we talk Phillies, let's talk about Philly Pressbox Radio. Philly radio broadcast legend. Philly Pressbox Radio legend would have been you. But we're going to go with Philly radio broadcast legend, Angelo Cataldi. You had a chance to sit down with Angelo to talk all things Philly sports. And from what you told me, it's pretty darn good.
Yeah. As I said, 3rd time talking with Angelo in 6 months. The funny thing is, I had never met Angelo, only once before. Briefly, I met him back in 2016 at a performance, actually, of Ray Didinger's Tommy and Me, actually. He was the guest co-host or whatever for the play where they did the Q&A after the show. So I said hello to him, got a photo with him, of course. And then last October, I was at a book event down in Haddonfield, and shortly before his terrific book, Loud, came out. So I said hello to him, and I said, what the heck? I'm going to invite him to come on our show as a guest. I figured he's got a book to plug. He just might do it. He said yes, right away. So that was in late October we had him on. And he said anytime he'd love to come back. So we had him on a month later at the end of November. And now here we are 4.5 months after that. And I decided, as I alluded at the top of the show, that this would be the perfect time to have him on because of the date. I think and many of our listeners and viewers know what I'm talking about, something that happened 25 years ago. So if not, pay attention, folks. But anyway, this is a fun chat with Angelo about a range of topics. Enjoy. A pleasure to welcome this guy back to Philly Pressbox Radio for a 3rd time. He is a Philly sports talk legend and the author of a fantastic book, Loud. It is Angelo Cataldi. Angelo, welcome back.
Chet, it's my pleasure, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I asked you to come back on this particular date for a very specific reason. We will get to that in just a couple of minutes. Let's start, though, with the state of the Philly sports scene. First, the 76ers. They finished the regular season with 8 straight wins. They'll still need to beat Miami in that goofy 7-8 play-in game to retain the 7th seed. That would get them a battle with the Knicks in a best-of-7. How are you feeling about the Sixers right now?
I'm torn. All right, there's one part of me remembering 2017. Because, maybe the way our teams win championships is through an improbable way. The Eagles lost their starting quarterback, Carson Wentz, and no one thought they had a chance, and they went on and did it. And this team was 4 or 5 games over 500 till the last run because they didn't have Embiid. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe they'll catch lightning in a bottle. It's possible. Maxey is better than he's ever been. They've got some other pieces there now. Kyle Lowry is there to help out. They got some pieces. At the same time, they were so cavalier about a lot of these regular season games that it's almost part of me, and I've been a Sixer fan my whole life, part of me, Chet's going, they should lose the play-in game and they'll teach them to take more seriously regular season games. And they just rested people with no good reason, load management, all the stuff they do. So part of me is like, they deserve Jimmy Butler to beat them in the play-in game and go home. I don't think he will. I think they'll go on. I think they'll be a threat. The Knicks would be their first round, their first real round opponent, and I think they stack up pretty well against the Knicks. So they could be on a run, Chet, but part of me is like, I just don't like the way they do things in the NBA anymore. But Embiid is in his prime. If you're going to do it, I would suggest you do it very quickly because he's not getting any younger and he's not getting any healthier. So take advantage of it.
I hear you. I should note the Sixers were 31-8 with Embiid in the lineup this season, 16-27 without him. So let's hope the big guy stays healthy. Hey, the Phillies. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the Phillies. They have been up and down over the first 3 weeks of the season, hanging right around the 500 mark. Hopefully the bats will get going soon. What do the Phillies need to do to make another deep postseason run?
All right, Chet, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. They need to show more respect for every game they play, because Rob Thompson, oh my God, he's become Joe Girardi. Pitch counts. He's got all these things that are restricting him from winning games. He's literally going from a Wheeler, not last game, but before that, not Sunday. But Rob Thompson is programmed. Basically, pitch counts govern every move he makes. The lineups are all set up through analytics. I'm tired of it. To me, they are still far behind Atlanta. They are farther behind the Dodgers. And the only thing I care about after they made the playoffs 2 straight years and had good runs is to win it all. If they don't win it all this year, it's a failure in my eyes, and I don't see them doing it. So I just see them spinning their wheel. And I'm also, I'm a little concerned about Harper at 31. He's off to a slow start, and he wants more years on a contract that has 8 to go.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Not a chance.
I'm with you. Hey, I want to play a video clip for you. Your second visit to our show was at the very end of November, right after the Eagles rallied to beat the Bills in overtime to improve to 10-1. But even then, you had lots of questions about just how good the Eagles actually were. Here's you at the end of November.
You can't trust the defense. The offensive play calling stinks, and I still don't think they're going too far, because they haven't proven they're as good as they were last year, even though their record's even better. They are a bizarre team.
Boy, you nailed that one, Angela.
Well, it was fairly obvious, Chad. That they would go that bad, I was not ready for. That James Bradbury would fall off the cliff and not be able to cover anyone in big moments in any game. That the coaching, which you could see there were holes in it, that they would stop trying to coach to stop the blitz. No, people were getting on Hurts unmolested, incredibly. And the coaching let them down more than anything. The roster was still good enough for them to take a longer run. The coaching was awful, and it was a bad decision to bring Nick Sirianni back, even though he appears now to have almost no power.
Well, now Kelsey and Cox have retired. Hassan Reddick got his wish and got traded. There are some new faces too, of course, but I'm not sure right now the Eagles are any better than the squad that stumbled through the latter part of the season. How about you?
I 100% agree with you. Yes, Saquon Barkley may be a little better than DeAndre Swift because he can block better, but running the ball when they did it was not a problem. Swift was terrific, had over 1,000 yards. That wasn't the issue. Now you've got a different offensive line without the leadership in the middle. I'm not sure how that goes. Cox, on his final year, had a better year than he had had a couple of years previously. He kind of went out playing a lot better. I'm not sure where that's coming from. The kids from Georgia haven't really taken the big step forward that I thought they would. Chat, I don't see it. To me, when you have a problem as obvious as the coaching was, and you keep the head coach, even if he's a figurehead, you're not really addressing. There's still a good team. Hurts, I have full faith in Hurts, but Hurts is not going to be any good if they can't protect him. And they were not protecting him in the latter stages of last season, and now Kelsey's not there. So what assurances do you have they're going to be able to protect him now?
Howie better do very well on draft night. That's all I can say.
You're
all
right.
As I alluded to at the top of the show, Angelo, I asked you to come back for our April 17th show because, well, it was on that date, exactly 25 years ago, 4/17/1999, that the Eagles, picking second overall, drafted the guy who, to this day, I think, is the franchise's best ever quarterback. And it looked and sounded something like this.
With the second pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Donovan McNabb, quarterback, Syracuse University.
I'm sorry to bring that up again, Angelo. Here we are on the silver anniversary of that unforgettable moment. Can you give us the lowdown on the Dirty 30, you know, that booing, which, by the way, you addressed in the very first chapter of your book?
Yeah, because it's what I'm known for. And there's nothing to be proud of, all right? And just to recap, all right, it starts the book because people would know our show more for that than any other moment in 33 years. And the fact of the matter is, the mayor at the time, Ed Rendell, was a huge contributor to our show. He really wanted us to go to the draft. He got us the tickets to the draft. We went to the draft. We thought we were all excited that they were going to get Ricky Williams, the running back. And when we heard Donovan McNabb, it was a reaction to not hearing Ricky Williams. There was nothing against McNabb. As history has proven, it was actually a much better pick than the one we wanted him to make, because McNabb had a much better career than Ricky Williams did. And for the last 25 years, I have been either apologizing for it or laughing about it, kind of back and forth. But I have decided, Chad, and I'm bringing this story to you right now, through reasons that I cannot explain. Philadelphia Sports, or the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, is inducting me with far more worthy candidates like Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and Rod Brindamore. They're putting me in there, right? So I have decided, I believe we are going to be able to do this. I have already contacted the leader of the Dirty 30. I am not making this up. I had dinner with him Saturday night. His name is Kenny Justice. And I said, Kenny, you're great at organizing things. I want you to bring all those guys to that banquet and invite McNabb if he would like to come. And when my name is announced, I want to be booed louder than McNabb at the draft. Because I guess maybe that would give closure. You know, the fact that it's still being referenced all these years later, Chet, tells me that maybe if I got booed to the point where it was earth-shattering, and everybody realized that was really, I was known more for booing people than cheering them anyway during the time I did the show. So if they want to boo me at the Hall of Fame, I will embrace it, I will acknowledge it, and I will apologize once again for all of my misdeeds. But I think that would be an appropriate final chapter, getting booed at the Hall of Fame.
Well, I've gone there the last few years, and I will be there this November, so I will make sure to boo you, Angelo.
Thank you, Chet. Thank you. I need everybody I can get on that.
All right. Hey, I want to switch things up a little bit. I want to compliment you on including in your book the fact that you had a lengthy battle with depression, due in part, to a marital breakup and your desire to make every radio show perfect. Do you think that, putting that in the book, did that surprise people? And why did you decide to put that in the book?
When I did the show, I didn't have a lot of secrets. I didn't believe in them. I still don't believe in them. I didn't share that with the people because I wasn't sure at the time that I was going to be able to do the show a lot longer, because I was dealing with that. It was 1995. I put it in the book because it's part of the story, and to leave it out, I did not do it. Honestly, Chet, when I did it, I didn't do it because I wanted to become like some role model for people who were dealing with it. But it got more publicity than anything else in the book, because I guess it was the most surprising thing in the book. And it was a bad bout, and I ended up on an antidepressant that I'm still on today. And I dealt with other smaller cases of it, including a couple of months after I retired. But it did, now I have gotten tons of emails from people and other people who said, wow, I never knew you did it. And it's like, well, that's the point. Most people can hide it when they're dealing with it. But deep down, it leaves a mark. I'm so happy I put it in there, because I think we've helped a few people since then. And I think the message I was trying to give is, don't hesitate to get therapy if you need it. I've done that several times in my life. And don't hesitate to use medication if it's going to help you. And don't feel shame, because so many other people are dealing with it or have dealt with it. we're all in the same battle here, Chet. There's no reason why, if that gets one person to feel slightly better about what they're going through, it was worth it.
Absolutely. All right, last thing, Angelo, you've been away from your radio job 14 months now. I'm sure people are wondering, besides watching lots of television, I love your podcast, what do you do with all your extra time, and how is retirement?
Retirement is awesome. All right. I spent the first couple of months writing the book. Then I spent several months editing the book. Then we had the book tour. That took us through the holidays. And then I had to record the audio book in January. And then that came out a couple of weeks ago. And interspersed with all that is the best part of it. I have finally understood the value of spending quality time with my family. And I would like to believe right now I'm closer to my grandkids than I've ever been. I have gone with the mixed results. I've gone to some of my 15-year-old twin grandson's soccer games. I still hate youth sports, by the way. I still think it's corrupt. Right? Anyway, and then the little ones, 5, 3, and 2, are over my house all the time. And I not only hang out with them, but I have been entrusted from time to time with babysitting without anyone else here, which is really surprising. Right. But I've spent a lot more time with my family. And even though I mocked it for years when I was on the air saying, oh, here goes another retiree, maybe you should check with your family before you say you're going to spend more time with them. But in reality, it's been rewarding. I love the fact that it's not, I don't have to climb that mountain every morning, nor do I have to get up at 2:30 and follow everything that's going on. And now I have a very nice, comfortable place to live out my last years.
Wow. Folks, Mother's Day and Father's Day coming up in the next couple of months. If your mom or dad is a Philly sports fan, this book, Loud, makes a great gift, and you can get it on audiobook now, too. Angelo Cataldi, thanks for visiting Philly Pressbox Radio again.
I got a big ending. Boo! You suck, Cataldi! Boo! November 7th, chat. I expect you there.
I'm there.
Hey, that's fantastic. That was fantastic.
I am just so happy with the way that came out. Angelo is great, man. You know, like I said, he doesn't know me all that well, but he put everything into that interview, gave me terrific answers, and wow, that was fun.
Well, and you know more than anyone that I was never a fan.
Yeah.
But I've become a fan the 3 times he's been with us. And I have to give a shout out to my buddy Bob Sullivan, because Bob Sullivan used to always say to me, hey, it's just a stick. It's just entertainment.
Yeah.
It's just what he does to get the people riled up. It's his game. And he doesn't know him either. But, and you either loved him or hated him. And, now you see a real guy, and he sounds like a really good guy. Passionate Philly sports fan like the rest of us.
And how about that? He agrees with you on a lot of the things.
He's smart about that. He's smart about that. That Rob Thompson and the analytics, man, he hit my nail on the head for sure. And the whole NBA, I've never used the word as the Sixers being cavalier, but he's right. The whole NBA is like that. It's just a matter of getting to the playoffs. The rest doesn't matter. We agree 100%.
And regarding his show, when you do a 4-hour show like that on the radio, you can't just take calls and, talk about how the Phillies did last night and the Sixers. You got to have a lot of entertainment stuff in there, especially, I think, in a morning show. So, you had Joe Conklin, you had just gags. And, some people found that annoying, but I thought it was very entertaining. I didn't listen every day either. I didn't listen much at all, to be honest. But when I did, I was entertained, for the hour or so that I would listen, because it wasn't just boring sports talk. It was fun sports talk and some other shticks. So, it is what it is. And his book is really, really. Did you get to read it yet?
No, I have it, but I haven't got to read it yet. But I'm going to. And the other thing I think is the whole McNabb thing, and he talked about this with us a little bit before too. He owns that. He owns that. It was a bad decision. That blew up and. Whether you like Donovan McNabb at that time or not, whatever, the fact that he owns it now is a good thing. It's probably that in itself is probably good therapy for him. And his other talk about all that, the depression, that's really good. And like I say, if you can help one person, it's a win.
Yeah, that's important. So I'm glad, and he's glad that it's in the book. Definitely check out the book. It is well worth your time. Let me see something. I got it here. And I think I still have 2 different chapters that I haven't gotten to yet. So can't wait to finish it. And I have a hunch we're going to have him on again in the fall because he's that good. He's good.
There you go. Enjoyed the heck out of it. Good job. So, hey, speaking of good jobs, how about the best tailgaters in Philadelphia? Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates. They're the best.
Cavs Philly Tailgates is run by this guy, Bob Cavanaugh. Great dude. He's been cooking up a terrific catering business for more than 30 years. He's known for his tailgate parties. He's a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philadelphia Daily News Tailgate Award. Cav does corporate events and parties, you name it. You can get the details at the website, phillytailgates.com. If you have any questions, you can email Cav at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. And Cav worked with Vince at Philly Sports Trips. They're the ones to use for Eagles road games and more. And boy, they got a lot going on this summer and fall. Phillies trips and Union trips. They're going to Austin, Nashville, Boston, Baltimore, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and of course, London for that Phillies Mets series. They will get you to Brazil for the Eagles season opener in early September. That is a week-long trip. Check out the details on all of those and others at phillysportstrips.com.
Well, hey, Chet, little update. Phillies lead 5-1, and I believe the Sixers are ahead by about 6 in the late in the first quarter, right?
Yeah, it was 18-14 when I checked. That was probably 5 minutes ago.
All right. Well, hey, great guest tonight in Angelo Cataldi. Who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week?
Next week, Bill, as I said, it is NFL Draft Night Eve. So as has often been the occasion over the past decade, we'll be joined by one of our frequent football expert guests. It's this guy, Mark Eckel. He covered the Eagles for, I don't know, something like 35 years before heading to Myrtle Beach for semi-retirement a few years back. Talking, of course, about Mr. Eckel, he will tell us everything we need to know about the draft and what he thinks about the Eagles and Packers opening the season in Brazil.
Looking forward to that. Mark's always on top of it, and he follows that draft pretty close. So it'll be fun to see. And of course, he's a Packers guy, so opening day, that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. Yep. Always good to have Mark when we can get him off the beach to join us.
And, you know, in 2 weeks, Bill, it is our 10th anniversary, so we got to do something special for that 10th anniversary show.
Oh, okay. I thought it was June. I knew it was soon.
April 30th, 2014.
That's right. April 30th. That's right. It's April 30th already. Who knew?
Yeah, and the show will be May 1st, so one day after the official 10-year anniversary. You're thinking of June when we do our 500th show.
That's the one.
You got to think about something special there. We're working on it.
There you go. Hey, the Phillies moved 2 games above 500 with 2 wins against the Rockies, following a 4-game split with the Buccos over the weekend. Phil's looking like a sweep could happen tonight if they can hold on. Getting real good pitching, not always very good hitting.
Ranger Suarez, man, you know, I swear to God, I was thinking of casting a vote for either Zach Wheeler or Ranger Suarez for Cy Young at the beginning of the year, putting a wager on them. Didn't do it, of course, but man, Ranger's off to a great start. What is he, 3-0 now with a 1.79 ERA, something like that? A complete game shutout last night. How often do you see that in Major League Baseball anymore? Not often, but I love Ranger, as our buddy Boop Patron said. You know, he's just a cool guy who nothing phases him. He's a good fielder, and he was great. He's not a 100-mile-an-hour thrower, but he knows how to pitch. So he's fun to watch. And I'm really, really excited about this pitching staff because the 5 of them could give you a real good outing on any particular night. You know, Wheeler struggled on Sunday, but we saw Nola being great on Monday. Ranger, we said, has been good. Sanchez has been good for the most part. Turnbull's been very good, 2 out of his 3 starts. So the hitting's not there yet, but the pitching's good. And, if they're 11-8 after this series, and then you got another bad team coming in after this, they could be, moving on up in the standings before the weekend or at the end of the weekend.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. I was laughing last night when the game ended, and, great job by Ranger throwing a shutout, 7 hits, no runs, but they were treating it like he threw a no-hitter. Like baseball has changed so much that it was like a big event that a guy throws a shutout, the complete game, because it just doesn't happen much anymore. And all the hoopla and they're great. His family is watching and this and that. He threw a shutout. He didn't throw a no-hitter, but I thought that was kind of funny. The bats got to get going, though, Chad. Hitting season is not quite here. Cold weather still roaming around up north. The bats need to get going.
Yeah, they really do. Castellanos in particular. Stott is starting to pick it up a little bit. Bryce was in a major slump, but he looks like he's coming out of that a little bit. Trey Turner's been very good the last several days. Yeah. So Schwarber and Turner both homered in today's game before we came on the air. So I think it is starting to get up. And, once you get into the warmer weather, things generally go a little better for the offense. So I'm still very optimistic about this team winning 90 plus and being in the playoffs and maybe even challenging the Braves because, as you know, they lost Strider for the season. So bad for them, good for the Phillies.
Big loss there.
I disagree with Joe. I disagree. Bullpen is not horrible.
I think I have to disagree with Joe at this point too, but they certainly need to get better, need to be consistent. And everybody's not going to be great every night. But if you can get through that sixth inning or so with your starters pitching really well, they got a chance to be pretty decent. Looks like Hoffman has moved into that right-handed closer spot too, which I kind of like that. Alvarado still scares me.
Yeah, I think it is going to be Alvarado, though, when it's predominantly lefties coming up, or Hoffman if it's going to be the righties. And, Orlando Kerkering is back, and he's throwing hard, throwing 98, 100 miles an hour. And I don't know if he's ready to be a closer, but he's going to be a key part of that bullpen going forward.
Yeah, and hey, Chet, I got to find this right quick. Bear with me for just 1 second because while we're talking baseball, I meant to print this out. I forgot to print it, but I have it right here because I wanted to give a shout-out to that Andrew McCutchen, who spent a few years in Philadelphia. Here's a stat for you, Chet. Andrew McCutchen is the 13th player in Major League history to have 2,000 hits, 400 doubles, 45 triples, 300 home runs, and 200 stolen bases. Quite a accomplishment of power and speed. A couple guys on that list, I'll tell you, of the 13. There's some guy named Hank Aaron, Barry Bonds, George Brett, Reggie Jackson, Willie Mays, Frank Robinson, Dave Winfield, Larry Walker are just a handful of them. Quite an accomplishment for Andrew McCutchen, and glad we got to see him in Philly for a couple of years. He's been a great player and had a nice run.
And he hit number 300 in Philly, of course, over the weekend. Yep. And as we've said previously, by all accounts, just a great guy. Everybody who's played with him likes him. We know he's, good in the clubhouse, good with the community. So congratulations to Andrew. And I'm glad to see him finishing his career, we think, with the Pirates because, that's where he started. So, yeah, good for him.
Good for him. Well, hey, Chet, I mentioned last week and then I looked it up and then forgot to tell us as we moved on. There is officially 3 guys that have been in Philadelphia longer than Jim Chesko and Bill Furman at Philly Pressbox Radio. And that would be Brandon Graham, Sean Couturier, and Lane Johnson have all been here. We're here playing for Philly when we started. No other players, no coaches. It's just the 5 of us.
Does that mean we're getting old?
Well, yeah, actually. But, pretty good.
Yeah. And before you know it, they'll be gone. So, hey, time moves on. That's just the way it is, Bill.
It sure does. And, hey, how about that Jason Kelce with his Kelce documentary that they had last year, getting a couple Emmy nominations? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a great show. Great little documentary. I really enjoyed that. So good for him. Things are going well for Jason Kelsey. He's going to enjoy retirement. We know that. Of course, he won't be completely retired. We don't have anything official yet, but he's got to end up on television, right? With one of the
It
TV
sounds
networks.
like it. Yeah, it sure sounds like it. I guess the big question is maybe they got to interview him, see if he can make it through a game without cursing.
A couple of quick hitters for you, Bill. First of all, I need to get your reaction on the Phillies City Connect uniforms. What's your take?
I hate them. I hate them. I kind of like the hat.
Yeah, the hats are nice.
Is kind of cool. I don't know where the black and blue thing comes from. You know, it's just nothing that shows Phillies to me.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Now, what we know is the blue and the yellow represent the city colors. They are in the city flag. So it's a City Connect uniform. So that is the connection, the blue and yellow. Not that anybody knew what the Philly city flag is, but that's that. I love the blue. Blue is my favorite color, and that particular blue color is just perfect. Now, the font is a little questionable. The 7 looks like a question mark.
Right.
It's a crazy font, but I'm okay with the blue and the way it kind of, meshes into the black. I wish the font was different, but
would you buy that? Would you drop 100 on that?
I would not drop 100, but I may get a jersey from a less reputable site just to have it, because I've been known to do that.
Were they selling them in the streets in Jersey or what?
Oh no, I have a source online that I use occasionally. So my pal Denny has used them as well. So it's good quality at a very, very cheap price.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it.
All right. Next thing, Bill, if I can find it. The Allen Iverson statuette. It's tiny. What did you think of that last week?
Well, I think it's tiny, but didn't they show a picture of the whole row of them, and they're all that size?
They're all tiny. So they should not refer to them as a statue, and I think they're correctly known as a sculpture. So yeah, they are all small, but his is a little smaller than others. But yeah, people are just bashing that on the internet.
I saw the picture of the whole row of them.
Yeah,
I thought it looked fine. I mean,
he
was tiny.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're gonna have a statue of him next to Dr. J, and Dr. J was a foot taller, well, the statue's probably going to be a little bit bigger. They're not statues like Steve Carlton and Mike Schmidt at the at the stadium. They're not meant to be. And I think that whole row of them looks really cool.
Two last things. John Sterling, Yankees, longtime radio play-by-play man, 36 years, retired suddenly the other day due to health issues. I hate the Yankees, but hey, the guy's been there forever, so we wish him the best.
Absolutely.
Next of all, I have the fact that this Sunday is the Philly Fanatics' birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. It always happens to end up on a Sunday. You notice that?
Yep.
And finally, for anybody who's in the area, Thursday evening, I will be here in Trevose at the 1675 at the Ridges. It is the Darren Dalton Foundation Spring Dinger. John Kruk will be there. I believe Tommy Green, Kevin Stalker, a bunch of others. So if you're in the area and, you want to donate to a good cause, come out to the Spring Dinger at 1675 at the Ridges. You can say hello to me too. And I don't charge for autographs or photos. So there.
Well, there you go. You're a heck of a guy.
Nobody else does there either. But
all right. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Wrap it up. Go Sixers. Go Phillies.
And one last thing, Chet. We'll follow back up on the beginning. Our thoughts are with Robert. Our thoughts are with your sister and your family as well.
Yes.
All the best to everyone involved there. And sorry for the bad news.
Absolutely.
All right, let's wrap it up. Let's thank tonight's special guest, Angelo Cataldi, our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chetchesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, April the 24th at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel, and listen on Google Podcasts as well as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and how about a let's go Sixers? Need a win tonight.
Boo! You suck, Cataldi! Boo!